was hyper insecure. But you think about Sumail as like the I'm the GOAT or whatever. I was like the I'm trash.
I want to go back to TI a little bit. This is something you've been chasing yourself. You know, you're 5 minutes away, like entering the stage of, the arena and playing your first TI Grand Finals. Like, what kind of thoughts? What kind of emotions?
I want to stomp people. I want to annihilate you. I mean, to be the top echelon at anything, I imagine, you basically sacrifice everything else. Pretty much my life.
If you play Dota or watch Dota, he needs no introduction. Quinn Callahan, also known as Quinn, considered the best mid laner for a while. He's dominated the scene, won a bunch of majors. He was in 2 consecutive TI finals, which is something almost nobody else has achieved. Extremely accomplished and established Dota player, also a great mind of the game. And there was so much to learn about his journey, his takeaways, and everything he went through.
The push by Nisha down to the patch up, but Quinn, he's still alive. They cannot kill this lightning pony, and Quinn survives. Takes out another beyond godlike Quinn, runs down Insania. A double kill here for the two of them, Quinn and Tofu as Liquid. They're on the verge of getting team.
Hey, welcome. This is something I'm super excited about and I've meant to do for a long time. I'm launching my own podcast. I've been part of competitive esports for a while now, almost 20 years. I've been playing, coaching, I've been watching mostly. And there is the side of things we barely talk about. It's the human side of performance, of competition. What happens in the minds of these competitors? What's backstage? What's behind the scenes? What kind of emotions? What kind of thoughts? The highs, the lows? Getting to know the person behind the competitor. This is what interests me the most at the end of the day, whether it's Dota, esports in general, or anything in life. And I want to share that with you guys. I want to give you access to well-known Dota figures, esports figures in general, and maybe more in the future. It's going to be an amazing journey.
All right. Welcome to Seb's Corner. This is going to be the first episode of a podcast I wanted to do for a very long time. So I'm very happy to get things started. Here we're just going to talk about the human side of competition, basically. The part that no one sees and that I think a lot are interested in. And, I have a great guest to start things off. I'm very happy. So, hi, Quinn.
Hello.
Thanks a lot for sitting down with me. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be in the corner. It's a very big corner.
It's a big corner, but it's a nice one.
It's cozy.
It's cozy. It's not the first word I would have used, but it's an amazing one for sure. So how have you been, first of all?
I'm good. I'm enjoying not playing pubs all day. It's been nice.
No, I see where this is coming from. I mean, you don't really need an introduction, but just a quick one. I'd say you're like a very, established and accomplished Dota 2 player. You've dominated your esport, like Dota 2, the scene, for quite a while. Had a lot of success. And I guess, like, to start things off, like, pretty simply, I just want to ask, if I wanted to understand you better, kind of how and why this all happened, what would I need to know?
I mean, my dad was a programmer, so I played games from a super young age, like all the time. Like I think I had my own PC when I was like 7 or something. So I was just like always playing games. And I really hated school. And so whenever it came time, I'm like a teenager and it was come time to like, you need to go to college, you need to do something, get a job, whatever. I really did not want to go to college. I didn't want to go to college so bad. And so I basically was like, I'm pretty good at this Dota game and I think I can make it work. And so I told my parents, like, give me like 1 year to like try this as I was graduating high school. I think I can make it work in some capacity, whether it be like talent or streaming or something. I think I can make a job out of it. And they were like, okay, go ahead. My parents are great. And then like I did it for like a while, and then Optic happened, and then the rest is history. I got very lucky.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I guess like video games were never something very like distant or strange in your own kind of family circle. Like, it's something that you grew up with and that your family was pretty like comfortable with also.
Yeah, my dad, like, I played so many games because my dad played games. I grew up like watching him play Diablo with his friends.
Did you even like play games together maybe?
Yeah, we played some games together.
Awesome.
I mean, some of my favorite memories about playing games are like watching my dad like play Diablo with his friends. I would legit just sit behind him for like hours and just watch him play Diablo because I was like too young to play it at the time. And it was so much fun. Like, I have amazing memories of this. So like, like that's why I played games, is because my dad played games. And so like me and my siblings, we all like played games.
That's awesome. Did you ever see your dad like play Dota, or was Dota like a you thing?
I picked up Dota quite a bit later on. Whenever I was like, I don't know, I think I was probably 14 or something like that. 14, 15 maybe. And I think my dad is even more perfectionist than I am. So playing Dota, it's a lot to learn. Like you have to be okay getting beat into the ground when you play Dota. It's a very humbling game because there's so much to learn. And when people are better than you, they trash you. And so I think my dad, I mean, he's got a job, you know, and he's got like kids to take care of and stuff and a family. I think Dota is a bit too much of a time commitment for him to like, I mean, he watches when it doesn't stress him out too much, but he tried playing a little bit, I think, but it's too much.
Okay, so like this like relationship to a video game where like you take it a little bit more serious, a little bit more competitive, that is something that you were introduced to like very early, I guess. It wasn't just about like having fun.
No, for sure. I mean, I think I always like the way I have fun in video games is I want to improve and play better. Like I played Deadlock or whatever for some hours, and after like 10 hours of playing, I'm watching YouTube guides on like what the best heroes are and like how to like that's what I think fun in games is. I want to get as good as possible as fast as possible.
And has it always been like that? Like even like at a quite younger age, or?
Yeah, I think so. Like I can remember playing like Smash Bros with my friends and like looking up like the tier list of like what the best heroes were and like guides. Like that's like always how I've done it is I want to know what the best stuff is and I want to just play the best stuff. I want to win, you know.
So you were like the so-called tryhard.
Yeah, I'm for sure a mega tryhard.
Okay, you're admitting to it with no.
Yeah, no. Like playing Call of Duty, I'm using the best guns with the best tech and attachment. Like I'm full tryhard, no shame.
Okay, so then like at what point, if you had like to isolate like a turning point, or like when did it start becoming like I guess serious in your mind, or that you know kind of like I don't want to call it a life plan because maybe it's too early, but you know when you start thinking seriously about this could really be like a journey of mine.
I think I mean it was definitely not before Dota. I think it was around like I remember. I mean my first TI I watched live was TI3. And I kind of didn't know that you could like people played video games like that before then. And
like
it wasn't
professionally, you mean?
Yeah, professionally. Yep. And I mean, I was Unreal garbage at the time, so like it wasn't really like even close to a possibility yet. But I just liked the game and I liked getting better at it. I remember watching like Dendy's mid guide or whatever. Like everyone watched the Heckin' Dota 1 mid guide, even though I can't even tell what the heroes are. They're like 4 pixels. I remember watching this mid guide and just getting better at the game. And I think there was some point where I was high enough MMR that I could get in pubs with pros sometimes. And I think that was like, okay, maybe it's like possible. I'm like getting in games with people. I remember I really liked Draskell's stream and I got into, I mean, not Draskell's not like a pro or something, but he was like pretty high MMR, like pub player at the time. And I got in a game with him. I was like, this is really cool. I told my family about it and stuff. I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe there's something.
But obviously like you had like a pretty normal life, I guess, you know, school and all that. So, and then at some point, was there like a clear shift of like, hey, I want to make this like, you know, maybe not my job, but you know, something I want to pursue seriously, and that also would have required the support of your family?
I mean, I was always like a pretty antisocial kid generally, and so I think I just naturally, like for most of my life, I kind of just like I did my schoolwork, I did what I needed to do, and then I played games all day.
Okay.
And so like that was sort of like my default. And so then whenever I started playing Dota, that just became like the new game that I did it for, except there's a lot more room for improvement in Dota than there is in a lot of other games. And so that time, I think, translated more to continued improvement than maybe in something else where you hit like a plateau sooner. I think in Dota, you can improve for a long time before you hit a plateau. I mean, you know, there's a little plateaus along the way or whatever, but I think it was really just around the time where I started graduating high school that was like, okay, now I need my parents' blessing because like I can't just be a bum sitting in their house playing games if they're not cool with it, right? Like otherwise I got to go do something in my life.
Okay, so you did seek at some point for like, you did have that conversation of like, I'm going to take that leap of faith kind of thing. Do I have your support? Like, how did that dynamic work? Because I think that's like a very common theme and, you know, in like young adults that are, you know, deciding to kind of pursue. Sometimes it can happen quite organically. Sometimes it's more of a choice. I guess for you, it was a little bit of both by the sound of it.
Yeah, it was somewhat organic in the sense that like, man, I don't want to go to college. I got to find something. Yeah. And I was pretty good at Dota. And it was also like a choice in that like, I mean, my dad knew I was pretty good. So like when I told him like I was pretty good and I could make this a thing, like he plays games and stuff. So he knew that like it was possible that like people do make a living from this. It's, you know, rare, especially at the time, but like it's possible. I think my mom was like more like, wait, really? This is real? And my dad was like, yeah, it is real. She's like, oh, that's crazy. That's really weird. My kid's not going to go to college. He's going to like play video games. Okay.
So there was not that much resistance, I guess?
No, I mean, my dad, not for sure. I mean, I think it was sort of my mentality and his as well that like I'm not going to get another chance to do this. And so it's not like I'm going to try it for the next 10 years if it's like going bad. Like I'm going to be realistic here, you know. But if I give this a try for 1 year, like what's starting college at 19 instead of 18, right? Is there really a difference there? But if I don't try this, maybe I miss out on something big. And that was my dad totally agreed with that mentality. And my mom didn't take much convincing because she trusts me and she trusts my dad. So it was like, yeah, this is weird. I don't know how I can get it. It seems really strange, but like, yeah, sure.
Awesome. That's very awesome. I think different trajectories, like, but having the support, I guess, of people that can, your loved ones is probably something very, very, very key in your future success too, I assume. So okay, so now you're like, skipping the part, the early struggle, because I wanna get to the mental side of things also, like to what really happens behind such a journey. You're good, you're very good. There are some struggles. You get pro. And you start getting in teams that are pretty successful. I want to understand a little bit more about your, personality traits, maybe, as in like if you have thought about it, some people have distance with it, some less. But like, how would you describe yourself as a competitor? Like, are you the very confident kind of competitor? Or do you have more, doubts, like self-reflect? How is it for you?
I think at my core. I mean, less so now. I've worked on it quite a bit over the years, but at my core, especially in the early days, I was hyper insecure. The antithesis of confident. You think about Sumail as like I'm the GOAT or whatever. I was like I'm trash. And I really believe that in a lot of ways, which I think is why I was able to get better. But I think has also caused a lot of ripple effects and made me like unhappy and stressed in a lot of ways. I think the way I got better was very much like, I'm always looking at other people. I was always watching like the best teams replays, like always, every single time, like the dominant Liquid or dominant Secret or whatever, every single game. I'm watching all of their replays front to back. Because I want to know what they're doing because I'm not good. They are, and I want to learn from them. That was like very much my mentality I was a learner and a follower of those better than me. And that was the case for most of my career. I think it only really changed in maybe even gaming.
Okay. So, is it fair to say that maybe you did not believe in your talent strongly enough, and then you believed more in like putting in the work? Was it a mix of both? Because if you considered that you were not that good at the game, I mean, obviously you were pretty good at the game because only a few people would have already kind of achieved what you had achieved at that point and kind of broken through. But if I just mentioned talent and hard work, which side were you on?
I think I'm definitely on the hard work side.
Okay.
I mean,
at least that's what you.
Yeah,
that's the image you had of yourself.
Yeah, like I think I'm okay at games naturally. I'm not like I think there's some players like like Mickey is like global in CS and like just goated at every game. I don't think that's me. Like I think I'm very much like, for instance, when I stop playing pubs, I get real bad real quick. Like I come back and I feel like I have no hands and like my fingers are upside down and stuff. So I think I very much got better because I poured an insane amount of time and effort and like love into the game, and I think it's. It was like quite the grind. And I was like, you look at Optic or whatever, like I almost got kicked from that team. And I was really bad at the time. Like you look at those games, like I lost lane like every game and stuff, like it took a lot of grinding to get to the point where I was like a competent player.
What was feeding your confidence back then? What was helping you kind of stand back up and rebuild that motivation, that confidence in yourself that you kind of need to keep going and keep, having to face everything you face when you grind?
I mean, I think for me, I had this mentality that losing is just not an option. Like, or playing badly it's just not okay. It's not acceptable.
In what regard? Like, is it because of the life choices you've made or the promise you made for yourself? Is it just in your nature? Like, why would losing not be an option?
I think I just felt like I'm doing this and I'm pouring all of my time into this thing. Like this is the thing I'm doing all day, every day. And I think because of that looking at people better than me all the time, or people who excel in different fields, like I really like Last Dance, the documentary, or like different sports documentaries in general. Like I read sports books about like professional, like people who have really excelled in areas, things like this. And I think like a lot of that talks about hard work and about like not being okay with mediocrity and like obsessed with this excellence or whatever, sometimes to an unhealthy degree. And I think I I ascribe to a lot of that in some ways, and so I think I put that onto myself as sort of like my mentality that like, yeah, like losing is not okay. Like you lost and it's like the world didn't explode, but like this is not something I'm going to be content with. I'm not going to step away. I'm not going to lose this game and be like, yeah, it's fine. We go next. It's like, no, we lost. This is a heckin' disaster. Like I'm going to fix this because I can't stand it if it's not fixed.
And did you ever feel that, because that takes a lot of will, that takes a lot of resilience, a lot of fire, a lot of energy. Did you ever feel like the tank was like emptying? That it was, was it ever harder, or maybe even felt impossible to stand back up?
I think I felt losses really hard, but not in the way that I wanted to stop. They just made me very sad and very angry at myself for losing, for being not good enough. But not in the like I never like people talk about burnout a lot. I never felt burnout ever.
Discouraged at times?
Definitely discouraged for sure. I considered quitting a million times throughout my career because losing was just like my body is on fire. I couldn't heckin' take it. And I lost a lot for a long time. So that was mostly what I felt. And so my general opinion was like, this is not worth it, but I kind of just did it anyway.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, so if you're thinking of quitting, like you mentioned, and it happened a lot of times, like, was there like a common theme, a common topic that kind of brought you back to the grind, or was it different every time? Now that you can reflect on it, like what made you decide, no, you know what, I'm not quitting. I'm going to keep going, and maybe I'm going to go even harder at it.
I think a decent amount of it was, what else am I going to do? Like, I still didn't want to go back to school, and I didn't have any other qualities or skills to do anything else. So it's like, I'm between just like quitting and going full back to zero, or I can commit to the bit and see. Because while I was very hard on myself, I think there was also some amount of, like, you have to believe in yourself some, right? If you full don't believe in yourself, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. And so there's some amount of me that believes in myself. And I think I also started getting smarter about the game during this period, during this optic period and afterward, and learning more and understanding more. And I felt like while my play often didn't reflect my understanding, because I had like a lot of performance anxiety, I felt like my understanding was very good. My understanding, I really believed in, like, even to be better than people like winning tournaments and stuff. Like I would watch their replays and be like, they don't understand this thing or that thing. Like I really believed in that. And it was more of like trying to get my play to translate to my understanding.
Interesting. You mentioned something that really stuck with me. Is like you call it performance anxiety. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean in like optic, for instance, like before matches, I would be like hyperventilating and freezing cold. I would go to the bathroom nonstop. My brain would be insanely cloudy. I would like it was like I was paralyzed.
Okay.
Even in game, like it would start in draft and like, but even in the game, like I would like laying out, my hands would literally be like shaking. Trying.
What was that? Was that like the stress? Was that the expectations? Was that? Do you know what it was?
I think it's pretty much all self-inflicted. I think that's sort of where I talk about I mentioned like the consequences of that mentality of like, I think I put an unholy amount of pressure on myself, and I think I felt the pressure I was putting on myself. Like I don't think I felt it from like, oh, what are the fans going to think or something. Like it was very much like, I need to do this for me. So much of my self-worth was baked into Dota that like just the thought of losing was like crippling.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like to me, the reason why this is like particularly interesting, and it's honestly the main reason for why I wanted to have these kind of talks in the first place, is that I think a lot of people experience that. I mean, I think everyone literally experiences that in their daily lives, whatever they pursue, whether it is, lifting the, getting to the highest spheres of an esport, like it was for you, or just regular life choices, work, personal relationships, whatever. It's like the same emotional mechanics. And I think it is cool to hear that, because like from the outside, they'd be looking at you and it's like, you're there lifting trophies, being in the, in TI finals and whatnot. And it's like, there seems to be like a bridge. You're like just not like a normal human being, you have your own skills and your own, mentality and mindset, but it seems like, you're also dealing with nerves. You're also dealing with dots. You're also sometimes have like, low self-confidence. So when you were stuck in this mindset, like did it ever get better? How did you deal with it? Did you learn how to maybe tame it a little bit or work around it? Is there anything you can share there that could help?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely got better over time. I think at a base level, I think reps and just going through it a bunch of times makes it will get slightly better each time, right? Each time you experience the massive amount of anxiety, you feel it a little bit less because your body gets slightly used to it. You know, there's some fight or flight crap going on. And so like through the years or whatever, like going from like Optic, say, through like then to like Quincy Crew in like 2020, there's like 3 years right there, right? Like in Quincy Crew, I'm still a little bit of a nervous wreck, but like it's not near as bad. Like I can play the game, you know, and it's like sort of okay.
Did it impact your performance?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, in Optic especially, I felt like I had a very clear idea when I watched a game or when I played pubs. I felt like the difference between my gameplay in pubs and in officials was vastly different.
Okay.
Like I just could not perform the way I wanted to in officials because of it. As time passed, it got a little bit better and better, and then it got way better in gaming.
Were you aware of it also, is a question
Yes.
I want to ask. Okay, so you could tell this was like kind of not normal, or like at least you wanted to keep it more in check, because you could also just have assumed that it's just like the normal state of things and how you're supposed to feel before games, or you had distance with that thinking, okay, no, this is something I have to kind of deal with and I have to improve on.
No, I think I knew that this is not normally. It felt too much. I mean, I asked other people. I asked like Sumail and others. Like
Other teammates.
Yeah, other teammates or people more successful than me on other teams. Like, how does it feel when you play? Are you stressed?
Okay.
What is it? You know, like, because I'm like, am I a freak, or like, is this how everyone feels? Turns out I'm a freak. And so
I'm sure some people also feel like that.
No, of course. And I'm also, you know, it's also a little hyperbole, but it's like I think I realized that this is like my demon that I'm going to have to deal with and fix. And not everyone feels quite this way. And so it just is what it is. And I'm going to have to deal with this.
When did it get, if it ever, you know, get there to a point where you were like kind of satisfied, or did it maybe even get fixed? When did it get better?
I think the time it was the best, where it was, I think 0 actually, was in the early stages of gaming. Like Lima is the most locked in I've ever felt.
What was the difference?
I mean, it's a bit goofy, but I think one of the teams I was on like a long time ago had some sports psychologist at some point, and he mentioned something along the lines of people function in different states. Some people like to be very amped up and sort of I don't know, like riled up to compete at a high level in something, and other people like to be chilled out, calm down, and just like vibe. And I always thought, because I'm stressed, I need to calm down, right? And so I always thought that's what would make me work. So I listened to calming music beforehand, or I like chill. I tried meditation a lot, and none of it really worked. And so then when I joined gaming, I don't know what caused me to think about it, but at some point I was like, okay, maybe I'm the other way. And so I started listening to like just like really loud, amped up music before games. I would like make myself. I mean, it's kind of cheesy, but like I don't know.
I don't think it's cheesy at all. I mean, please keep going, because I think this is like the heart of the matter. So
yeah, I mean, it's like in Last Dance, Michael Jordan does this thing where he sort of just invents things people have done to him to like make him like irrationally angry, like something to give him like something to latch onto or whatever for the match. Like, you wronged me in this way, and so I will now prove you wrong or whatever. Like, I think like that's, I mean, it was before Last Dance, so I didn't copy him, but I think that was sort of what I was doing.
Okay.
Was like, I just needed to get angry.
So it was a little bit experimental, I guess.
Yeah.
And how did it work?
I mean, it worked really well. I was actually surprised at how well it worked. I think it really worked. Every game before, like, you know, most people like hang out with the team and like vibe before games. I would not do this. I would just like, as soon as like 30 minutes before the match started, maybe 45, sometimes even longer, I would just have my headset on and I wouldn't talk to anyone.
Like zone in.
Yeah, I would just listen to loud music for like an hour before we played, and it helped a lot for me to like zone everything else out and fixate on like, I'm gonna prove them wrong.
Yeah, and I think like pre-game or like pre-performance rituals are like very, very important, and you probably also learn that. Usually, you learn that later in your career. Like, the more, you know, experience you gather, like, you're the perfect example of that. And then the more awareness, also, the more aware you become on who you are as a person, as a competitor, and then you find what works for you. So I guess it is something that would you agree to say that once you reach that state and once you kind of get to know yourself, there's no going back? Like, how did it feel afterwards? Like, were you just like, you know, in check?
I think it worked for a long time. but it didn't always work.
Okay.
Like there were some times where it worked less than others, and I don't fully, even during that year, I don't fully understand why that was the case. Like for instance, in TI finals, the first one, I think I played incredibly bad. And I was not in zone. I was not chill. I was stressed, and maybe it's because TA. I mean, you could say I choked. You know, I don't exactly know what it is, but I played really bad in that finals. And I think I also had quite a weak tournament in Riyadh that year, and so I don't fully understand why that was the case exactly. And I think after that, like the thing is my motivation at its core was I want to see if I can actually do this. I want to prove to myself and to everyone else that like I have what it takes to win.
And to win what? Is there like winning something in particular? Is it like what are you looking at when you say that? Like,
I mean,
what are you visualizing?
I wanted TI, right?
Okay.
Everybody wants TI. I wanted to, but like, I mean, it was the most important thing to me by far. But second to that was like just a general sense of I can be the best or I can be on the best team. And I felt like I proved that on Gaiman, that I could be the best and we could be the best. And so I think after that first year, the sort of my pregame rituals stopped working quite as well, because I think my prime motivation, like in the ritual, was like, I'm going to prove everyone else wrong. But somewhere inside me, I started to believe more that like I've already done that. And so it started to work. It started to not work as well.
So did you, because like we're talking about how harsh you were with yourself, right? And like how high the expectations were and how much work you put in. Like, did you give yourself a little bit of rest when you reached that state? Because I mean, you're pretty humble, but you guys were like the best team out there, and by far you've dominated the scene, and you're a central part of that. So you did become the best in the world, and for extended period of time. Did you give yourself like, a little bit of rest, a little bit of sense of being proud of what you've achieved? Like, was there an element of that at that point?
There was some of it for sure. I think like we won the first one, and it was super cool. I think that was my favorite tournament ever. And then we just kind of just kept winning, and it was really like surreal and like weird to go from NA, where like I won one minor on Optic in 2018, with like bad teams at it. And then otherwise I'd never really won a tournament. So I was like stupid online NA tournaments. To then go, from some shmeep shmop slop NA player to like we're winning every tournament was like insanely weird. It was like a very strange feeling. But I think my general mentality in that period was like, I want to keep it going. And I understood that it would stop eventually. I understood that at some point we would stop winning. And we talked about it on the team.
Why would it stop?
Because I think eventually people figure you out, and I think motivation drops on someone on the team, and small things add up, because that's what Dota is, right? Dota is a combination of small things, and eventually something slips, and then when that heckin' first Jenga block falls, the whole thing crumbles down, which is what happened eventually. But I knew that would happen, and so for me, I wanted to stay fiery and stay hardworking and keep pushing and keep improving and innovating, and like, no, we need to watch these replays. I don't care if we won this game in 20 minutes. We should have won it in 19. Like, I wanted to be as perfect and as like we're gonna obliterate them as possible, because I felt like if we stopped and we were okay with, hey, we won a bunch of tournaments, we're so great, then we were gonna like lose the fire and like the being really good even faster. So I was all about like, no, I don't, like look at this death, look at this early game. This is not acceptable. Like it needs to be better.
What about motivation then? Like, because you mentioned that that the motivation and kind of what fuels that motivation can change once you started winning. Was it the case for you? Were you aware that there was a shift that happened, or did you realize that a little bit late, maybe too late?
I think I could not feel it shifting initially, and I don't think it did shift initially. Like, I think at Kuala Lumpur, say, which is a tournament after TI, I still felt the same, and I think it was a slow slide during that year. I also had some personal stuff happen that affected my mentality some, but I definitely, like, you can look at that second year, and I did not play very well for most of it. I played really well at Riyadh, but besides that year was quite for me. I pulled it together near the end, but I think some part of that was probably a slide in motivation, and I'm not exactly sure how you even deal with it. Even if I had to go back to do a do-over, I don't know how I would deal with that, because I had only really found success with one mentality, which is like, I'm gonna prove everyone else wrong. And then now that I don't feel that anymore, I would have to like really sit down and do some soul searching to find out, like, even if I had a do-over, you know, to find out like how I would have altered that in some way.
And are you the kind of guy to like hit the pause button and like take a step back and kind of reflect on things as they are happening? Do you allow yourself that kind of headspace, or do you just like keep going and eventually, or either when you're forced to kind of reflect, or it just happens like later down the road? Like, how did that go for you?
I would try to do some reflection. I think a lot of it was more Dota reflection though, as opposed to the experiences themselves reflection. I think I did more of that afterwards. Like on the flight home or like after tournaments, I'd open a Google Doc and write my lessons or whatever, what I think I learned from the tournament, like things to keep in mind for future reference, you know, for the next tournament, to like look at this, like this is the crux of this tournament, this is why we were good or bad, or things we learned or whatever. Don't forget this is a cornerstone, things like that. Like, but most of that was Dota related, and not so much of it was like, I don't think I smelled the roses, maybe quite as much as I should have.
And what about the teams and all that? What about, you know, teammates and kind of person you encounter throughout the journey? How much of an impact did that have? Whether it's, you know, negative, positive, like how much did like what kind of influence did that have on your own, you know, development and career achievements, all of it really?
I think playing with different people was honestly great. I think it massively positively affected my life. I think I was also lucky enough to play with like some like really great people. Like I look at like SVG, someone I play with for a while, and he's like an incredible person and also an incredibly intelligent person. And I learned like a lot from him and that environment. And I think also just team environments in general. Like you get a really fast crash course in human behavior and how to interact with people and how to make people tick. And, you know, people are mad and upset, and how do you listen to them well and make sure that they feel heard, while also, you know, like all these types of things. Like I wanted to learn about this. Like I bought books about how to, you know, manage like team situations and stuff like that. And
so
I think
you had a certain level of awareness when it came to that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think I had good people around me. Even like first entering the scene, I had like friends and stuff that were very smart about this. I think like my general philosophy was I want to be around people who are smarter than me, and I was very lucky to actually get to be around people who are way smarter than me. And so I think I just tried to be a sponge as much as possible, and learn how to manage the situations, because I think people skills are like they're invaluable, and being able to read social situations and all this stuff, especially coming from like my childhood where I was like hyper antisocial. It was like, you know, out of the fridge and then straight into the frying pan.
Okay. And how steep was like the learning curve?
I think it didn't, like it's somewhat steep, but I think I got better at it pretty quickly.
Okay.
And
what helped you get better at it? Like it's not easy. Sometimes like just being aware of these things, it can take a lot of time.
I think I just find it super interesting, and I really like it. Like it's something I was like passionate about and wanted to learn about and wanted to do better, because I think it's a skill, and I think most players and teams are bad at it. And I think it was something that I was aware of and I had the capability to do well and do properly. And I think that was like something that was like a boon to my status as like a player or whatever, or even just the person. Like I think being able to listen to people well and have these like it's very valuable. And I understood how valuable it was, and I wanted to make that a priority.
If I had to ask you to give me like a percentage, how the percentage is split between like, you know, for like peak Dota performance, between like the human side of things, like the people, the team, and the game itself, what would you give it?
I would say maybe like 65-35 play.
What's 65 play, 35%?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Is that something that was the case when you started competing? As in, did it change over the years? Like
yes.
your outlook on things? So what was it earlier rather than later?
I think earlier I thought it was more people and less play.
Okay.
But I think it actually was too. But I think Dota has gotten harder, and I think it doesn't matter how good of friends you are these days. If you're not unreal heckin' skilled, like you're not beating them in lane. It's not happening. Like
okay,
you're gonna
you're putting that first now.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, you know, you can be however good friends you want. If you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Like you're not pushing through that anymore. Whereas I think back in the day, you could do it like teamwork. Teams are so dysfunctional. People were heckin' psychos that like I think being being cohesive and being like somewhat of human beings and like having a nice team environment mattered a lot. Like it was like a game changer because the skill disparity was like not that big. Like there was so much variance in gameplay because the game was not as figured out. But I think these days people are so good that like you just need to be really good. I might even say 70-30. Like
Okay.
I think like the team stuff matters, but I think most teams are at a passable level of like interaction with each other. I don't think anybody is like, you know, they're not psychiatrists, but like people are okay. They're better than they used to be.
Yeah.
And so I think because of that, because the average floor of like human behavior is like better on teams, I think the gameplay then matters more.
Yeah, there's not like being disabled or something. Everybody's like somewhat enabled, so then
Yeah.
it becomes about the game itself.
Yeah. So you know, you're taking it from like normal to like better than normal as opposed to like the literal abyss of human behavior to
Yeah.
like normal. I think that's a much bigger gap than like normal to excellence.
I want to go back to TI a little bit because you know you've been into TI finals. Obviously, these are like very critical moments of one's career, and you also mentioned that this is something you've been chasing yourself, like that you set as a goal for yourself. You know, you're 5 minutes away, like entering the stage of the arena and playing your first TI Grand Finals. Like, what kind of thoughts? What kind of emotions?
The first one was crazy and like insanely surreal because the start of the tournament was really bad for us. Like we lost our decider match at town and we started in the lower bracket, right? After like a super dominant season, there's a lot of pressure on us. And then we made the entire lower bracket run. Like we had this conversation after the talent series because there was a lot of stuff we did wrong in the game and I felt like it was wrong with our mentality. And when we had a really heated discussion, but it was a really good one. And I felt like I said this to my team after the talent series, I was like, we will make the finals or we will lose next round. And I could feel
That's like before the beginning of the lower bracket,
Yeah,
which you
yeah.
ended up steamrolling all the way through the finals.
yeah. And I could just feel somehow that we were just going to win every game. I didn't care. We were going to win every game. We were going to be in the finals.
Where did that
Or-
feeling
or-
come from? What was that feeling?
I think like the way I like Dota the most, and I think is the coolest way to play, is I want to stomp people. I don't want to win slowly. I don't want to out economy or something. No, I want to annihilate you, and I want it to not even be close.
It's like I can feel the competitivity, like that. Like I can even feel it now today, and it's been it's been a while, and that came right after a big setback because
Yeah.
you lost to Talon. Now you're dropped to the lower bracket, and you were a very dominant team. You probably had higher expectations.
Yeah.
So that setback led to even more like hunger and competitivity.
Yeah, I think it was like a reminder because I think like especially like our team was sort of like its fundamental crux was like we were aggressive, we played fast, and we won games fast. We were not a team that was good at late game or something like this, right? Everybody knew that. And I think we needed to get back to our identity because I think we were playing slow, we were being lazy, and we were not thinking about the things that mattered in the beginning of that tournament. And we like after that game, we needed to use this as a proper wake up call to like, hey, everybody heckin' like lock in, look at the game, like attack their heroes, let's play fast, let's like win this game, let's not be some AFK bots, and let's like play some real Dota. And I think you could feel in the room after we had this talk that like people believe this, people understand, and people are locked in, and we will win every game. Like you could feel it in the room.
You mentioned like feeling, believing, which at the end of the day is like you're kind of asking people and also asking yourself to believe something you don't see yet.
Mhm.
So it is faith when you think about it,
Yeah.
somewhat. How powerful that tool is, you think?
I think it's insanely powerful. I think like there's a big difference between players that are very good but they're not in the zone compared to players that are very good and in the zone. Like that there's worlds apart there. And I think if you can get people to believe in each other and believe in the product and just focus on themselves, like to me, I've really come to believe that people really just need to do their thing and play their game really well. And Dota is 5 pieces intertwining. I honestly feel Dota in some ways is more of a solo game than a team game in these days, in the way that like your individual gameplay matters so much and you really can't be caught up into thinking about other people's stuff, which I think goes back to the believing in people thing. Like you need to trust that other people will do their part and not worry about it. It's not for you individually. It's not a team game. Don't worry about it. Play your game, lane well, make the right moves, buy the right items. Think about your game, be precise and elegant and I don't know, and just pristine in your gameplay and trust that others will do the same.
And that belief that you're, this tool of like believing in people that you're putting out there, can it apply to oneself also? Like, can that belief also be directed towards our own like capacity and confidence level? Can I believe in myself and kind of is that going to like enhance my own performance, you believe?
I think so for sure. I think it's interesting though because I think different people have different. Like some people are really good at believing in themselves and really bad at believing in others, and I think some people are really bad at believing in themselves and really good at believing in others. And I think generally I fell into the latter category, that I had a hard time believing in myself, and I was much better at believing in other people and bolstering other people. And so I think it sort of came as a wake, I grew an awareness of I need to stop worrying about other people so much and do my thing and play my game. Because I think for a large majority of my career, I was a fixer as a player and as a teammate. It was like I watch the replays, I talk to people, I try to fix the problems. And I think in some ways that shortchanged my own gameplay for a long time. And at some point on Game and especially, I reached a point where I was like, I'm going to focus on me because I trust all of you guys, and I'm going to do my thing. And I think it showed great results. And I think because of that, I really bought into it, that this is the way, at least for me, but I feel I can extrapolate it outward to others, that like, this is the way that makes you great. It makes you win. I look at like players like Satanic or Amar now. Like they're I think Amar especially, it's like a great teammate. It's someone that does a lot outside of the game. But I think what makes him great is that his individual gameplay is beautiful. Like his last hitting and his laning and his every individual decision, every click, all of it is incredible. And I think that is what makes players great, is this individual excellence. And I think you do have to believe in yourself, and you also have to believe in others, that you don't get stressed and worried about it and try and do too much, because I think there's a big problem with overcompensating in a lot of players. It used to be called the save your buddy syndrome, right? And I think you can extrapolate that outwards to not just trying to save people who are dying, but I think in the micro moments and forgetting about the individual moments. Like Dota is such a snowball game. It's such about the little things that you need to be hyper aware of all your little things and trust people and trust yourself.
Where should emotions be in a Dota game, or in a really big event, or in a big moment of your career? Like, where do you want them to be?
For me personally, I want them not there. I think like Lima, for instance, like I said, I think it was the time I was the most locked in. Like I made a conscious choice that walking in and out of the stage in between games, I was not going to high five fans. I was not going to like.
You wanted to protect your focus.
Yeah, I was not going to like smile or look around. I was not going like, when the tournament's over, I can smile and laugh and have a good time. But I made a conscious choice that going in, I'm not here to have fun. Like I'm here to win.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I function best in that environment, that I'm not like, it helps me focus if emotions are not there, and I'm just like, I'm doing my job and I'm focused and I'm just only thinking about this.
Interesting. And I mean, and you mentioned that you believe everyone to be different, right? And
yeah, for sure.
And I also assume that you've had very different teammates, like in terms of personalities. Yeah. Okay, interesting. I want to go back to this lower bracket run. I want to go back to this defining moment where you kind of decide that that's how it's going to be. You convey that to the team. You feel like they're picking up on it, and now you end up steamrolling the lower bracket all the way to the grand finals. And because I think for people that are going to listen to this, is like they're kind of asking themselves, like, what happens? Like, where are you 5 minutes before playing TI grand finals? Like, what's the mood like? What do you feel? What do you think? Like, where are you, like, physically? What's around you? Can you take us back there?
Yeah, I mean, we're in like the warm-up room. It's like 1 minute walk from walking on stage. I think there's a lot of tension in the air. It's very tense. It's like almost electric.
What makes it tense? Like, what is it? Is it like the people around, the atmosphere? Is it your inner speech? A little bit of everything? Where's the tension coming from?
I think it's like it's like an anticipation, and it's like a yearning almost. Like people really want this.
You can feel like something big is happening.
Yeah, like you can tell people really want this, and this really matters to people. Like it's really important.
It feels different than any other day.
Absolutely. And I think in some ways that was my or our shortcoming, in that I think it felt too important for us.
Okay.
I think it was the inverse of, like, when I talk about Lima, I think Lima was like, yeah, whatever, it's the finals. We're just going to play and we're going to win. Whereas I think this felt too big, and it felt too important. It felt too electric. I think I was aware of this in the moment too, but I didn't know how to fix it. That I felt like there's something wrong here. This doesn't feel right. It feels exciting, but too exciting. It's too much. Like but I don't know how to fix it.
How aware were you? As in, like, you had the feeling kind of somewhere in there, like inside, or were you actually like even ready to voice it?
I wasn't ready to voice it, but like I could certainly feel it. I think like I mean I took this a bit from some other teams or even like the OG runs or whatever, but I think there's quite a bit of value in pregame speeches for some teams, and that was sort of like my job on the first game in, and I could feel like before going on stage that, like, I don't know, maybe you resonate with this, but I feel like there's sometimes where you feel it, like you can talk and you can really inspire people and instill some feeling, and other times you just don't have it. And I can try, but I don't feel it in the same way, and I know that they won't feel it in the same way.
Yeah.
And I felt that
it comes down to actually how you feel in your guts too.
Yeah.
Right? You can't convey something you don't have or you don't feel. It's just impossible.
Yeah, and I think I felt that, and I think it scared me going into the first TI that I didn't feel it, and I knew I couldn't convey it in the same way, and maybe other people on my team felt fine, and maybe it was actually okay for them. And this is just a me thing, you know. I honestly don't know. I haven't talked about it like in like great deal about the emotions afterward. We didn't really talk about it, but I think for me it felt wrong for me mentally. Like I'm not in the right space, and I really was trying to think about how to fix it and how to like shift it. I was like trying to think about the right things. I was trying to focus on the game. Don't think about this other crap. Don't think about winning. Don't care about any of this. Like I was trying, but I couldn't fix it.
So like, you know, we're like I'm almost ready to kind of enter the stage with you now, enter the arena. It's like you have that feeling and it's sticking with you, and you're going in there and you did not manage to get rid of it. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of, you know, attached to you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then now you're playing the game, and did it go away in any way or did it stay there?
I think if we were winning, it would have gone away. But the issue is Spirit was really good at that tournament, and we were not. Like, if you look at us through the lower bracket, we were not the same team in the finals. And I think tension and stress is contagious. And I don't know if I started it or someone else started it or what exactly happened. You know, I would need a time machine to have a better understanding, but we were not the same, and the tension was there and the stress was there, and it felt too important and too big, and the gameplay was just, I don't know, like I can feel it sometimes in games where like my mouth gets dry if I feel the stress or it's not going well. Like my body is reacting to, I think my body might be reacting first and my brain becomes understanding of it after the body reacts. I'm not actually sure if it's chicken or egg type deal, but I remember feeling in that first game like my mouth is dry and like I need to like, and like I drink water, it doesn't fix it. Like my mouth is still dry and like things are not clear and we're losing and we're being outplayed, and it's like, it's very, I don't know, it's like you're being like enveloped in darkness. It's like it's a very scary feeling, and it's really hard to fix that and to snap out of this, like you're losing and you're being outplayed, and it's like I did not know how to, like I could feel it. I could feel that we need a wake up call. We need to alter things. We need to shift things, refocus somehow. And we tried between game 1 and 2, but it like we weren't. I don't know. I didn't know how to do it.
Oh, I mean, and it's amazing the words you're able to put on it. Like, because I think it becomes like much more like clear and easy to kind of share these emotions with you. What could possibly change that? Like, I'm just gonna throw things out there, but could it be a little bit of luck? Like, you know, game 1 starting better than you expected, or just kind of getting a little bit, you know, things going for you the game. Could that have like changed the whole dynamic? You know, a little bit of like help from fate, destiny, you name it. Could it be? And also another thing is like, do you keep that for yourself? Are you able to share it with the group? Can the group fix it, you believe? Is it like something you just have to go through and figure out on your own? What's your take? Like anything that could have had an impact in that moment, you believe, if you could not kind of fight that battle?
I mean, some luck would have been nice for sure. If the early games go slightly better, we get the ball rolling. Maybe they feel the pressure a little bit, and things get swayed. I would have liked some luck. That would have been cool. I think my takeaway after the finals was, and something we sort of did between game 2 and 3, but it was a bit too late. Spirit was a bit too good. Was that I think what I felt like I needed to do in hindsight was I needed to be more open about how I felt, and basically tell them that, hey, like I feel like, essentially be open, because I didn't feel the tension was just me. I felt like other people felt the tension too. Maybe not everyone. And I think Anton had said in some things that like he felt fine or whatever, and then there was tension elsewhere. And so I think for me, what I should have done was just talk about it, and be open and honest about it, because I think tension that's in the air and has been acknowledged and everyone is okay with it, and you're pushing through and you're doing it in spite of it anyway, is much less scary than tension that is subdermal and hasn't been talked about or whatever, because it multiplies. It's like you're scared or tense, and you can feel that in other people too, and they also feel it in other people, and suddenly it's like rippling around the room in this cyclical effect, causing, I think, everyone to be more stressed and anxious and focus on their game less and less and less in like this exacerbating fashion. And so I think if I had just talked about it and said like, hey, I'm nervous, I want to play my best, but I feel this and that and the other, and we had, if they had emotionally or gameplay wise backed me up, and someone, maybe it would have enabled someone to step up in that moment and put my fears at ease or others' fears at ease. Maybe we could have locked in more and played as us. But I think for games 1 and 2, all those tensions and fears remained like under the surface. And so I think it wasn't enough. We weren't good enough to play well enough to beat Spirit while also not being in a good enough state like that.
And now, like, the moment you understand that it's over, like, you're gonna lose that finals, game 3 is like, slipping away. Can that be called a devastating loss? Like, first of all, how do you treat it? Is it a loss at all? Like, what's the feeling like?
Yeah, it's pretty soul crushing. Not as bad as the Liquid one, but pretty soul crushing. I mean, it's like your dream, or was my dream for like 9 years at that point. And you're like a couple hours away from it, and then now it's gone. And now, like, you don't know if you'll ever be in a final again. You don't know what it's going to be like next year. I think that feeling of it slipping away is horrible. Is an utterly horrible feeling.
Yeah. And when it goes away, are you, like, when it starts fading, because it does start fading at a point, are you able to see through that? Are you able to, like, look back and realize how much you've achieved and how long of a road it's been, and, like, how amazing the whole journey has been? Are you able to, like, also look at the glass half full, or are you just looking at, kind of what didn't happen the way you wanted it to happen? Do you need time? What's the takeaway on that?
I think I felt it later in the night. I think initially all you feel is pain, but I think time heals all wounds. And later in the night, it wasn't even the next day. I think later in the night, I felt more okay and more impressed with what we did. We were able to get all the way to the finals, and then our year prior to that was so great. I think it was also just really impressive Spirit. They played a really great tournament, and they're, arguably the best players and best team of all time. And so I think losing to them, I felt no shame in that. I congratulated them at the after party and stuff. Like, it was okay. It's just, it's the heckin' FY thing, right? When you see the fireworks, I mean, you haven't had the experience, but I've watched the fireworks twice, and watching the fireworks blows heckin' cheeks.
Okay, yeah, it's rough. Like, I might not have experienced it this way, like in a finals, but I've had my fair share of losses, as you already know. And I think, we both had our own successes in competition, and I think we are well aware that it's the tip of the iceberg. Like, what's underneath, what's under the water is the grind, the losses, the setbacks, everything we're talking about here. And would you say you have enough distance with things now to also have a better grasp on what you gained that day? Like, would you first agree to say that you've lost things, but you've also gained others, like experience, wisdom? Do you look at it this way, or is it mainly like regrets and things that could have been different?
I guess you mean from that final specifically, or
like in big setbacks, because you put words on how rough it was, like how much it meant, and therefore, how big of an impact it has, like emotionally. Is there anything relatable but that you can take away and helps you kind of move forward? Because you also talked a lot about being resilient and being able to kind of, rebuild like some sort of fire and motivation to keep going, whatever you're channeling that towards, if it's like more competitive things or something else. Like,
I think there's definitely some, like, I was able to take away some pride and accomplishment and I think gratitude. I mean, I'm I'm not oblivious to how lucky I am and how fortunate I think it is to be able to live this life and play video games for a living. Like, you know, it's very surreal, a very weird thing. And I think throughout all the success I've been able to have, I've tried to stay cognizant of that. And so I think when you make it to the finals, there's sort of a solemn but with a positive undertone feeling of this is all very cool and I'm very grateful for this. And you should not take these things for granted or like try to be in the moment and appreciate them while they're there, because success and these good times are fleeting.
Okay, and connecting this back to your surroundings, your family, like the the people that are closer to you, do they help also overcome these kind of setbacks, or what's the impact? What's the influence?
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely need people to talk to and vent about this crap. It's pretty emotionally charged, and so I think sometimes not even necessarily talking about it, but just being with people you care about and you can be emotionally vulnerable with, even if it's not words, if it's just slowly letting the energy dissipate into the room with someone else that you know is okay with that. I think that is very important. If I didn't have people close to me at TI, it would be rough.
And I didn't mention teammates, but do you build the same sort of connection with teammates, or not with everyone? Is it different? Do you think it should be? It shouldn't be? It is what it is. Like, what's your outlook on that? Like, what's with the kind of emotional or like very like a little bit personal? You know, because these are like personal feelings, obviously. Like, relationship with teammates.
I think it varies from teammate to teammate and team to team. Like, I think in a lot of teams, some players are more like coworkers, and some players are more like friends. And that's been my experience over different teams. Not only myself, but seeing it between other teammates. You know, some people are like, yeah, you play Dota with them, and other people are like friends. And after the team disbands, you still talk to each other and things like this. And so I think I felt like that with people in gaming as well. That like I'm closer with some people, and we talk about this in a more emotional way. You know, like right after, whenever it's like super raw, I don't really want to be around my team. But whenever it's a little bit less raw, I think talking about that and sort of going over it and asking how it was for them and what do they think and things like that, I think can be a really interesting experience.
That's cool. Like the one thing I wanted also to like go over, which I think is like a really big deal for everyone that kind of competes for that long and goes that far, is the sacrifices that it represents. Can you maybe share a little bit on that? Like, I mean, first of all, do you agree that it is sacrifices?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think, I mean, to be the top echelon at anything, I imagine you basically sacrifice everything else, right? Like, pretty much my life for, I don't know how many years, maybe 7 years, something like that, was pretty much just wake up, maybe longer even, but yeah, like, is just wake up, play Dota all day with like intermittent eating and such, and then go to sleep, right? You miss birthdays, you miss all kinds of crap for tournaments, for boot camps, for qualifiers, for all these things. You know, if there's some, you know, I want to go on this trip or whatever, yeah, I can't, sorry, I have to play this qualifier, I have to play pubs, you know. You miss out on a lot of experience, and that's, you know, it's bittersweet, I think, because I think there's also some beauty in fully committing yourself to something and being willing to sacrifice, right? Like, opportunity cost is inherent in human experience, right? You can't do everything. You have finite time. And so I think it adds more value and beauty to the thing you are doing because you are sacrificing your time to do it. And while it's hard, and it sucks, and is inevitably a big reason why I decided to retire, because I was just sick of playing pubs all day while my family's lives went by. I think it's also quite it's what makes it matter, you know. It's the reason why watching tournaments and watching the lower bracket or whatever is exciting, because somebody's going to be sad and lose, and the emotional quality there is integral to life.
Yeah, and you more than anyone would be, as a competitor yourself, would be aware of the sacrifices it represents. So, you know, you're mentioning that when you're watching, you know, lower bracket games or other, you know, players competing, you just know what it means to them, what it must mean to them, and therefore what's at stake, right?
Yeah, you can see it on their faces, you know. I mean, it's why like the footage of like FY looking out the glass is in some ways more like emotionally stimulating than watching y'all win. You know, watching y'all win is cool and you can be happy for y'all and stuff. But the inverse, watching him looking off the glass, I think way more people or everyone resonates with that. They resonate with that sadness, with that loss, regardless of what it be in life. And I think that hits really hard, seeing that and remembering that in your own life in whatever capacity.
Yeah, particularly when you're aware of like the amount of time and sacrifices and effort that has been put and led up to that moment, which I think is something for people to also be aware of, because not everyone decides to like chase something that drastically and sacrifice that much, like different life choices. But if this is something that, you know, one does in their own life, and I think you've mentioned it yourself, like regardless of what it is, Dota, sports, just regular, you know, whatever, pursuing like a job career, whatever it is like the same mechanics and therefore same stakes and maybe same, emotional reactions to what might happen.
No, for sure. I mean, I remember the year I joined gaming, like I needed to go to Europe to start practicing because we had the DPC coming up. And so I remember I went to Europe before Christmas and I spent Christmas alone in my apartment, just like playing pubs all day.
Yeah.
Because I had to go in like early December, or otherwise I wouldn't be able to practice or whatever. Because where my house is in the States, the ping is too bad at the EU. So I just play pubs all day on Christmas alone.
Yeah, and what people need to also realize is that this probably also it can lead and often leads to like a soul-crushing loss in a qualifier.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course, you know, it'd be like, yeah, I mean, if that means I win TI next month, I'm probably okay with it.
Yeah.
But the reality is that it's almost never the case.
Yeah, you know, and that's why it's hard, right? Because you're gauging all this as like, you know, you do all this stuff and then you rock up to the tournament and you get 12th place and it's like, what on earth am I doing with my life? And you have that realization, which is I think a big part of why I just, you know, thought about quitting so many times is, you know, you're doing all this and then you get 12th over and over and over and you just keep hacking getting 12th and it's like I'm just throwing my life in the garbage.
Is there a difference between thinking you can do it and knowing you can do it after having won something?
I think for me, my experience was I knew I could do it in the shorter term at different points, but in the longer term, I did not know I could do it.
Yeah.
When I first joined Gaming, I had no clue if this is going to work.
But then once you win Lima, for instance, now you know you can win a tier 1 tournament and win it like this. You know, is there like a shift in mindset that happens after? Is it easier to sacrifice? Is it the same?
I think so. I think once you've won, you can believe it a lot more because it's like metastasized and you can see that like, okay, it's possible. I actually can win. And I think you start to believe more. And I think I mean, winning makes everything better, right? Like there can be, I'm sure you've experienced this before. There can be a million heckin' team issues, people at each other's throats, and then sometimes you just miraculously win, and it's like, oh, everything's okay now. It's all better. I love y'all. There's so much. Oh, good job, guys. It's all fine. Yeah. Don't worry about what we said in boot camp. Don't think about that. It's fine, guys. We won. It's all good. And that's how it is, right? Winning writes
like a
everything.
Dopamine rush that just takes over.
Yeah, everything. It's all chill. All those underlying problems that come back to bite us in 2 months. Nah, don't worry about those. They'll be fine. They're not there.
For sure. There's a lot of that for sure. I see. And then, I mean, you know, like one thing that I also wanted like to, you know, bring you back to is, I mean, I don't like isolating like a certain moment, but if you had to just like select, I don't want to say the highest high, but I'll just put it this way. Like if you could select like the highest high, like one moment that really resonates until today, positively. And then on the contrary, you know, one of the lowest lows you've experienced, which one would it be?
I think the highest high might be winning Lima. And funnily enough, it might be the first LAN I ever attended was the Summit, the one we got voted into. We didn't even qualify. We got heckin' voted into on this random NA stack FDL. And that I think those two were my favorite experiences, winning Lima. Also the first TI I attended as a talent. That was also super fun. But just going to the Summit and being the worst team there, being absolutely heckin' garbage, not belonging here at all.
The opportunity to just be there?
Yeah. To be a part of it. Like I remember being in like the shuttle 2 and 4 from the BTS house with like people I'm more fans of than like competitors, really. You know, if I'm in the same van as like Wings or whatever, like we're not competitors, you know, they're gonna like beat me with their eyes closed. But it was like that feeling of getting to like be friend, like see all these casters and players and stuff that I was honestly just a fan of at the time. That was like really sick, and like super surreal. That like I can't believe I get to like be here. It's so cool. So I think probably either that or Lima.
Okay. And what about the lowest low?
Lowest low is losing the TI to Liquid by a long shot.
The second one.
Yes, it's not even close.
Okay.
I think it's that, and then like 100 nautical miles, and then probably the first TI.
Wow. Okay. What's the difference between both? Why is it so much different, or why is it why did it hurt more? Or
I think it's because the first one felt like you could write it off in a way that like Spirit was insanely good, and it was our first time, and we had a really long lower bracket run, and we were stressed and we were tired, and you could attribute it to other things other than yourself. Whereas the second one, I actually felt like I played pretty well in the Liquid final compared to the Spirit one, where I feel like I played like absolute garbage. The Liquid final, I actually felt like I played well, and I don't think I could have done much more.
So it's frustrating, or
it's like, what's wrong with me? Was the overwhelming feeling I had after was, we made it here again, and we got 3-0'd again. What? There must be something wrong with me. Why can we not?
Like, in the sense of like you can't find an explanation. Like,
yeah, like I
there's
don't.
bad luck or something like that.
Yeah, like what? Why are we 0-6 in TI finals? You know, clearly something must be more intrinsically wrong with me that is causing this to happen. Because like surely we could win at least one game. You know, like I think that was horrible.
I see. I mean, yeah, I can. Yeah, it resonates in me a lot. I think it's a feeling I've gotten in the past, and it's a feeling that's hard to deal with. Like I think, like if I'll share a little bit of an anecdote that personally helped me kind of overcome that, and it was like a devastating loss at TI7. I was coaching, so it was quite different. But obviously, same journey, and at that point, I had no clue that I would win it one day. Obviously, like I kind of had given up. OG's like favorite to win the tournament. We're crushing everybody in scrims, and then TNC, or actually TI6 was TNC, but like devastating loss. We bump out of the tournament. Massive disappointment. Like the world is collapsing on us. And I go meet Johan No-Tail outside the hotel, and he's just sitting there and smiling. It's like we're like an hour after we've lost, and I just wanna break stuff. I just wanna disappear. And he's just there, and he's smiling, and he's like. And it actually makes me even more angry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, how can you be okay?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Did you not care the whole time? Or like, what is this kind of behavior? And we had a really inspiring talk where he mentioned about the fact that you kind of selfishly go in there and expect to get something. You've worked really hard, you've chased that, you've sacrificed so much, and we went over all of it. And you expect kind of to get something from it, which is like a trophy, recognition, whatever it is really that you were seeking. But you don't, that's just not how life works. And, we both know that, as in, sometimes you get it later, sometimes you don't get it at all. And I guess like the conclusion was that you actually don't control what you're getting, but that if you, put in the work and put in the effort, you're actually getting a lot. You're getting experience, you're getting wisdom. Like reflecting on it and on every loss, you can see how they play a role in the future wins. I'm sure is something you can relate to also, like your earlier loss in your careers. And a lot is yet to come, whether it's competitive life, you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So to me, that helped me like tone down a little bit the pain and kind of take a step back and be like, it's kind of like this has been done and it's going to pay dividends in the sense of like just growing as a person also, and maybe leading to future smaller, a little bit more selfish, like I want this for myself and kind of things. But yeah, I don't know if you can resonate with that at all, or if you have reflected on the fact that some of the setbacks you went through also allowed and opened the door for your biggest, achievements and successes.
No, for sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of beauty in hardship. I mean, obviously there's levels to it. Losing a video game tournament is nothing compared to what like actual real life problems people go through. But I think, yeah, like there is meaning there, and I think. It's like why I enjoy media about like people that don't win. Like I think it's fascinating because so much of the like public eye is fixed upon the winners, or history is written by the victor. And I think oftentimes the losing story is more compelling because I think people resonate with it more. And I think the concept and the idea of pouring everything and all your time in and then just not getting what you want, having to come to terms with that and pull the value from elsewhere and not lifting the big empty cup, I think is very human and very like core to the human experience. And I think it's very it's probably very healthy and more like of a grounded sort of even keeled way to view and appreciate things.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's like a common thread also. And I mean, you're quite harsh sometimes about your own like journey, and you have really high expectations for yourself. But I can assure you, like from an outside perspective, you're nothing but a winner. It's like I would even go as far as saying that I look up to you as a player. Like you like you've dominated the scene for so long, and yes, maybe some wins mean more than others, and maybe they don't actually. I don't know. But what I know is that to have achieved that level of Dota for so long and so consistently, that's like winning in a nutshell. That's like succeeding in a nutshell. So in that sense, I think there's also something interesting about the own outlook one might have on their own kind of journey and what it looks like from the outside and with an outsider perspective, because it looks very different. It looks very nice, you know. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, and I try to not take it for granted. And I mean, I retired for a reason, right? Like, I think part of me, like watching, I mean, like I like Andreas a lot, and he's a great person. And Falcons deserved that TI win, but watching that finals was really hard because it's not me, you know.
Are you at peace with that, with the retirement? How do you feel? Like you're searching for that? You're there already? Do you have any distance with it?
I think I am at peace with it to a large extent. Man, I actually had a dream last night that I was losing a third TI.
Okay.
It was horrible. No, I think I am at peace with it in a lot of ways. Like, I think Dota for me was like competing was something I felt more like I had to do, as like to prove it to myself, and not something that I really enjoyed in a lot of ways. I think it was almost always more stress than it was like jubilation, was how I generally felt. And so I think once I proved everything, it just made sense that like, hey, I've already achieved. I felt like I'd experienced everything I could experience from competition. I had done 0 to hero. I had done being in the trenches and losing. I had done being on top. I felt like I had done every different direction of winning. The only thing, obviously, I didn't pick up the Heckin' Shield, but like, what can you do? And I'd done every other type of experience from competing. And so what it felt like to me was to keep playing, I will essentially be rinsing and repeating the same diminished feelings because I've already sort of experienced it all. I experienced winning and sucking and both directions, either way. And so I don't necessarily enjoy the process that much. It's a lot of stress, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time that I'm sacrificing, not spending with people I care about. And I'm doing all that for the actual process I don't necessarily enjoy as much, something else I could be doing. And so I think, like, logically, while emotionally, I think there will always be some, you're watching some game and you're like, this guy can suck, so I could do better. Like, you'll always, that feeling will always be there. I think, like, logically, I very much think my decision was the correct decision, and I stand by it. And I don't think I will go back on it because I do not think my feelings, I don't think the logic behind it will change. And I think for me and how competing feels for me, it just makes sense.
All right. And did the young Quinn prove himself what he wanted to prove himself?
Yeah, I think so. I think I wanted to prove I could be the best mid player, and I think at one point I was.
Yes.
And I think at one point we were the best team. We had a very dominant year, and even though the fact that I don't have any rings, I didn't pick up the shield, kills me, I'll be okay.
You'll get better. You'll get better for sure. It gets much better. I have some kind of rapid questions. The system is like, I'm giving you 2 options, and you just have to select the first one that comes to mind.
Sure.
As in, like, the first one that you like.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll go ahead and shoot some. Talent or hard work?
Hard work.
All right. Overconfident or too doubtful?
Overconfident.
A bad atmosphere and strong plays, or great atmosphere and not so good plays?
Good plays.
The trophies or the journey?
The journey.
100 public wins or 1, LAN finals loss?
1 LAN finals loss.
A major win or TI second place?
Major win.
TI 12 or TI 13? You kind of answered it, but you keep one. Actually, you might
12.
not keep the one. Okay, you keep it. And bad supports and good cores, or bad cores and good supports?
Good cores, bad supports.
Okay, very interesting. And now I just wanna leave it at if you had one, obviously there's like so many lessons, but if I just ask you to keep one, from your whole journey, something you'd share with your younger self or with someone that's like that either are fighting their own battles or are kind of getting ready to or thinking of doing that, what would that lesson be like?
I mean, for my younger self, it would be shut your mouth. But for apart from that, I think people say this crap about it's the journey, not the destination, yada, yada. And you hear it like when you're starting the journey or in the middle of the journey or whatever. And you're like, yeah, sure, I'm enjoying the journey. It's fine. But like, you don't really believe it. And I think it's hard to overstate how much that is true and that you really should buy into that. And every day when you wake up before you go to sleep, try to not take it for granted because the good times fly by real quick.
Nice. I'm inspired, man. I'm ready for a second round myself now. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Quinn, for sharing all of that with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.